Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Christina McNeil, and this is NB12 for Thursday, October 18th, 2012, broadcasting from the Cable Cell Studios on Robinson Road. In news tonight, the man who police believe is behind at least 6 rapes on New Providence is charged in a magistrate's court. A man escapes police custody while being treated at Princess Margaret Hospital. The controversy continues over a current MP and trade unionist's possible conflict of interest, 1,000 jobs set for Grand Bahama with the reopening of the Reef Village Resort, and an update on development on Cat Island. We have those stories and much more coming up tonight. Your NB12 starts right now. Thanks for joining us. A man accused of being a serial rapist back in court today and charged with several additional sex crimes before a magistrate this afternoon. Nikia DeVoe sat in on the proceedings and has the details in this report.
Police believe the 27-year-old Oscar Leroy Ingram raped 6 different women between May of last year and June of this year. He's also accused of several burglaries and armed robberies.
I know what's going on against me. See, this conspiracy going on against me. I ain't raped nobody.
Shackled and handcuffed, the Claridge Road resident, seen here in the blue shirt, was escorted to court number 1 at the South Street Magistrates Court. Once there, Chief Magistrate Roger Gomez read Ingram a long list of charges. On that list, 6 counts of rape, 6 counts of burglary, 6 counts of armed robbery, and 1 count possession of an unlicensed firearm. That's 19 charges altogether. According to court dockets, Ingram broke into homes in eastern and western New Providence between May 29, 2011 and June 20, 2012, robbed the occupants of cash, jewelry, cell phones, and other items, and raped the female in the house on 6 separate occasions. It is alleged that at least 2 of these crimes were committed along with another person. As the charges were being read, Ingram drummed his fingers on the table and looked up at the ceiling. The accused, who was not represented by an attorney, was not required to enter a plea to any of the charges. He was remanded to Her Majesty's Prison until he served with a voluntary bill of indictment next year, fast-tracking the matter to the Supreme Court. Before leaving the courtroom, Ingram told the magistrate that he knew nothing of the crimes and accused police officers of framing them. He said he had a message for the public, that he would never commit such crimes against women. Chief Magistrate Roger Gomez assured him that he'd get a fair trial. Ingram will return to court on March 7th of 2013. But Ingram has faced charges of this nature before. After a string of rapes this summer, he was charged with breaking into 2 homes and robbing and raping 2 women at gunpoint, along with 21-year-old Mark Charles of Washington Street. That case is also expected to be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court and a VBI presented on November 1st. That brings Ingram's total number of rape charges to 8. Reporting for NB12, I'm Nikia DeVoe.
Meanwhile, police need your help to locate a man who escaped police custody while being treated at Princess Margaret Hospital yesterday. Police say 24-year-old Travado Taylor of Derby Road, Yellow Elder Gardens, escaped lawful custody around 3:20 p.m. Wednesday while detained in hospital. He's wanted for questioning in reference to burglary. Taylor is described as having a medium brown complexion, standing about 5 feet 7 inches tall. Police are asking anyone with information on his whereabouts to contact them at 919, the Central Detective Unit at 502-9991, or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. Taylor is one of several suspects who have escaped custody while being treated at PMH. In July, a 17-year-old murder suspect left PMH while under surveillance by 2 officers. In June, a police officer was shot in the face, reportedly attempting to prevent an armed robbery and rape suspect from escaping the hospital. Since then, hospital administrators have introduced permanent police presence at the facility. The escapes have also prompted Public Hospitals Authority and national security officials to seriously consider the creation of a secure ward within the hospital compound to prevent detainees from escaping police custody. NB12 understands that the officer who was watching Taylor is now under quarter guard at police headquarters. Well, a 36-year-old man is dead after an alleged suicide this afternoon. Neighbors and other spectators looked on as police secured the scene and tried to comfort loved ones outside the Hutchinson Street home. Superintendent Tommy LaRota of the Southern Division explains what police found when they arrived on the scene.
Sometime today around 12 midday, the police received a call about a shooting through Hutchinson Street. On arrival to Washington Street, we found house number 52B that a male had been shot in a bathroom area. This male was checked out by the EMS personnel and was pronounced dead. It seemed to be a single gunshot from a shotgun, and it seemed to be self-inflicted. The shotgun was also found on the side of this male.
Police say during this stage in the investigation, they have not yet determined what led to the alleged suicide. A relative who did not want to be named identified the victim as 36-year-old Derek Sands. He lived alone in a house on the same property as his parents. Relatives say he had no children, but described him as a good man. Well, Bahamas Nurses Union President Cleola Hamilton is expected to step down next year. That's when her union will hold its election. Her colleagues in the Nurses Union and Trade Union Congress came to her defense today, insisting it is not a conflict of interest for her to serve as a union president and government member of parliament. However, a senator from Trinidad and Tobago, who is also a union president, says Hamilton needs to resign immediately because it is a clear conflict. Vonique Toot reports.
When the Bahamas Nurses Union holds its election next year, Union President and South Beach Member of Parliament Cleola Hamilton is not expected to seek re-election. However, Union Vice President Jana Kalfani says in the meantime, Hamilton isn't going anywhere. Hamilton, who is also first vice president of the umbrella union Trade Union Congress, came under heavy fire after she refused to resign as Nurses Union president, even after becoming a PLP MP and being appointed parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Kalfani says the Nurses Union is in the process of concluding negotiations for its second contractual agreement with the Public Hospitals Authority and Ministry of Health, and they feel it is in the union's best interest for Hamilton to participate in that process.
And the members and the executives requested from her to stay on and let's complete this part of it, and then she can move on and do what she needs to be doing in Parliament. That was a conscientious decision from the people that elected Mrs. Hamilton.
We're so happy we are now a part of the governance of this country. Not only from the trade union end, but now from the highest place you can go, and that is Parliament. And you'll see her performance over the next 5 years. You see? When they're talking nonsense, we can go talk to her now.
Hamilton's election campaign poster is prominently positioned on the wall of the TUC's conference room. TUC President Obi Ferguson, who also sits on BEC's board, presented a long list of trade unionists whom he claims eventually entered politics in the Bahamas and throughout the Caribbean. However, Trinidad and Tobago Senator James Lambert, who is also president of the National Union of Government and Liberated Workers, disagrees. He says what Hamilton is doing isn't illegal, but he does feel it is unethical.
She's an MP that is elected, so therefore she should immediately, I would so advise, sister, you should resign. If she fails to do that, the Prime Minister of the country should ask her to resign. That I do not have to resign my position as a senator because I'm appointed. Because all of us is aware under the system that a senatorship could be revoked in the morning. But you cannot do that with an elected member. An elected member was elected to serve, I think, for 5 years in your country as the rest of the Caribbean. And in light of that, you ought not to hold the position as an elected member, whether you have ministerial position or not, and continues to operate with the trade union movement because it becomes a conflict of interest.
President of the Bahamas Public Service Union, John Pinder, says he believes Hamilton should have resigned immediately after she received the PLP's nomination.
It's very difficult for that person to be impartial because the parliamentary secretary is like a junior minister, which means they serve at the pleasure of the Prime Minister. And so if the Prime Minister is doing something untowards that affects her union, which side is she going to take?
Kalfani hit back at Pinder today, saying nurses decide their own fate.
As far as I know, and when we all checked, we did not elect John Pinder to speak on our behalf. We find it insulting and offensive.
Hamilton was seen speaking with TUC executives at the House of Labor minutes before today's news conference. However, she left before it started. The nurses union plans to hold an election after it signs a new contractual agreement. Calfani expects that to happen early next year. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Tude.